Welcome, everybody. It's Stacy Kyle, Manager of Exhibit Services with NAB Show. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar today, Building Brand Awareness and Driving Qualified Booth Traffic. I have Sam Thompson and Jonathan Polite with us, and Jefferson Davis, our resident trade show expert. So a couple things about today. To talk about our commitment to exhibitor education and success, the Exhibitor Success and ROI Center, which is available on our website, and you can bookmark it and share it at the link that's provided there. And there's also a series of articles in the center as well. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Jefferson. Like I said, he's our resident trade show expert and has worked with us for quite a while. And he has a lot of valuable information to share. So Jefferson, thank you and welcome.
All right. Thanks, Stacy. And again, thanks to everyone who's investing an hour to be with me this afternoon. I promise you, if you listen carefully and you find the ideas that resonate for you and you get off this webinar and actually use what we're talking about, you will be in the top 10% of exhibitors at the NAB show. So let's talk about what's going on here. The NAB show, in a few months here, the doors are going to swing wide open. Over 1,800 exhibiting companies are going to be setting up in the hall. There will be about 100,000 attendees. And some exhibitors are going to have a really, really good show, and some are going to struggle. And the ones that win the game of exhibiting are going to be the ones that are doing what we're talking about in this webinar today, which is really reaching out before the show and putting together a well-designed pre-show marketing campaign. So I think we're all exhibiting here. We think about the time and the money and everything that you're doing to prepare. I think it's about growing your business, right? It's not just about doing it just to show up and fly the flag and hand out some tchotchkes and go home, I don't think, right? I think it's about growing your business. And Peter Drucker, one of the most famous management consultants in American history, really put it home when he said, there's only two things that drive revenue and growth for a business. Number one is marketing, which is what we're talking about here, not just exhibit marketing, but marketing in all of its facets, and innovation. He said everything else is an expense. So if you are a really good marketer and you're an innovative marketer and you bring innovation to your products, your services, your delivery model, there's no reason why you cannot grow your business massively from year to year. But you got to focus on these two things. And remember the logistics side. Get the space, get the booth, get the products, get the people, book the air, order the services, ship it to Vegas, get it set up, tear it down, send it home. That's all that is dealing with logistics. Now, you got to do that stuff. You have to do it, right? But it's not going to guarantee that you get enough of the right people to your booth, and it's not going to guarantee that you get results. Okay, so we've got to make sure that this pre-marketing thing is top of the mind. It's a must-do. Okay, now when you think about pre-marketing, and marketing in general, for that matter, you think, what does it really take to put together marketing that works? Well, Jim Rohn, another famous business consultant and philosopher, I think he said it so eloquently. Jim said that number one, you got to have something good to say. So you got to, you can't just go quality, price, service since 1950. Those are platitudes. Everybody's out saying we have good quality products, we have good service, and we have competitive pricing. Those are right. Those are the rites of passage. If you don't have that, you're not going to even compete, right? But that's not going to pull people to your booth because those are platitudes. They just kind of roll off people's back like water off a duck, right? So you have to have something really good to say, which we're going to talk about today, how to build good content. Then you actually have to say it well. You have to communicate it, whether it is print or web or mail or digital. You have to communicate it in a way that engages people. So first, what are you saying? Second, how are you saying it? Careful thought to how you say it. And then you got to say it often. You can't just say it one time, right? You can't send out one email and think thousands of people are going to come run into your booth. So you have to say it often. And, we're right in the sweet spot here over 3 months before showtime where, you can start to get this messaging going. And then finally, I'm going to add to Jim's statement here, multiple media. You have to say it through multiple media. Sometimes when I talk with exhibitors about their pre-marketing, I go, do you pre-market your exhibit? And they go, yeah. And I go, how do you do that? And they go, well, we send emails. And I'm like, what else do you do? And they go, that's it. Well, here's the analogy I use. It's hard to win a race with a one-legged horse, right? Think about entering a horse into the Kentucky Derby that only has one leg. So that's kind of like what pre-marketing your exhibit with one channel is. Okay, so what you want to do is use integrated marketing, and you want to use as many of the media as you have the time and the budget and the mental or the bandwidth or the skill set and the ability to deploy. So you want to use as many media as you can, not just one. And that will bring us to our first poll of the afternoon here. I would like to ask everyone who's logged in here to take a look at the screen and click the radio dial button that applies. How many media do you typically use to market your participation in a trade show? Fastest fingers. Everybody look at your screen, tap the radio dial button that applies, and I will flash the poll in just 15 seconds. All right, we're at about 70% of you have voted. If you haven't voted yet, look up, tap. If you're looking at email and you're thinking about something else, come back with me here. I promise you this is going to be priceless time. I'll give you just another second. Here we go. I'm going to close the poll in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. So let's take a look at what's happened. So 6% of you said, we don't do any pre-marketing. Well, go back to that big image I showed you of the NAB show. How are they going to find you, right? Because if you're not pre-marketing, you're basically doing what I call exhibiting by hope. You're renting space, you're showing up, and you're hoping. You're hoping they come to the show. You're hoping they get into the convention center. You're hoping they get into the hall that you're in. You're hoping that out of all those booths, they pass by yours and find you, okay? And if you're not getting results from shows and you're not pre-marketing, I can tell you exactly how to turn your program around right there. Get in the mind, get on the agenda of enough of the right people. Don't hope that they find you. It looks like, we're pretty well split amongst the 1 to 2 and 3 to 4. And that's good. You guys are, you're doing something. But what I'm going to ask you to do as I work through this webinar today is add a few more legs to your horse here. Okay, if you're doing 1, then let's see if we can't get you up to 3. If you're doing 3, let's see if we can't get you up to 5 plus. And the 20%, 26% of you that were in the 5 plus range, for you also, I want you to think about how many you use. So what you might want to do here is go back to that image that I showed you and put a circle around the media you are using, and then maybe put a check mark around the ones you think, hey, I'd really like to add this to my pre-marketing this year. All right, so let's keep on rolling here. Now, since we're talking trade show success, okay, I think it's important to take a holistic look at this, what really makes an exhibit program succeed. And your exhibit program should do 2 things. Number 1, it should support your core business objectives in the areas of marketing, sales, customer relationship management. So it should support your objectives, 1, and 2, it should deliver financial value beyond cost. Okay, and the way you get there is you have to spend some time on critical success factors, which I've identified the following. Number 1 is outcomes. Here's the major question you need to ask. Everybody listening, write this down. When the doors close on the NAB show, 90, 180 days after the show, how will you know you succeeded? So if you'll reach out when the doors close, 90, 180 days, and ask, what does success look like as a result of NAB then? And you'll work backwards using a process called exhibiting by objectives, okay? And there's an article on the Exhibitor Success and ROI Center which will walk you through how to put together action plans for each of your key goals. I think you should go into NAB show with at least 3 written goals that are backed up with action plans. So that's your first critical success factor. If you don't know what success looks like, how are you ever going to achieve it? Answer is you're not, unless you just happen to get really, really lucky, which in a big show like this, I wouldn't bet the farm on that strategy. Second, what we're talking about today, selective attraction. In the mind, on the agenda, enough of the right people. Third, the visitor experience. The visitor experience has 3 components to it. It's your exhibit. It's the look and the imaging and the messaging and the copy, and then it's your staff, the people and what they're doing. And then it's your product display or presentation or demonstration. So you're trying to really deliver a quality visitor experience that gets qualified people to commit to a next action step. So that's the third critical success factor. And number 4, follow through and measurement. All those people you met with at the show and agreed something happened next, you follow up, follow through, and then you measure. And so here's the thing. Picture a table with 4 legs. Okay? These are the 4 legs of a successful exhibit. If you were to take any one of these legs away, you were to break it off, then the entire table would be jeopardized, would be unstable. Same thing with exhibiting. So here's a question for you right now. On a scale of 1 to 5, how well do you feel your company is currently addressing these 4 critical success factors? 1 to 5. 5 very effective, 1 ineffective. 4 effective. 3 somewhat, 2 not so well, 1 we're not even addressing this one. You know, I've been in trade shows now for 30 years. In August, 30 years in shows, and I've been 25 years. I've been my 25th year as a trade show consultant and trainer. And I help companies turn trade shows around. And all I do is come in and stand out of their forest and look at their trees in these 4 areas, and I look at their practices. What are they doing? Okay? And I find which of these they're not addressing, and I help them develop structured processes to address them. And so far, of the companies where I've done tracking, we've been able to pull over $700 million in results from shows. I know trade shows work, you know, but you got to do the right stuff. You got to spend the time in the strategic side of the game, which this is the strategic side of the game. And so, like, if I quit now and I said, hey, I'm not going to tell you anything else, but you just really tackled these 4 things thoroughly, effectively, you would be on your way to having one of the best shows in your company's history. So which of these areas do you need to improve upon? We're going to attack number 2 today. There's content up on the NAB show Exhibitor Success and ROI Center for the 3 other areas. Okay, so let's get after it. Big show, 1,800 exhibiting companies, 100,000 total attendees. So not everybody that is attending that show is your ideal visitor. The question is, who is? So you don't want to be like this example up here, right? You know, the guy walks up to the booth there and he's got his trick-or-treater, he's got his bag, and he flips it open and you throw some kind of a tchotchke in there and he moves on. Okay, that's the guy you don't want at your booth. Okay, here's a good phrase, write this down. What you use to attract is who you'll attract. So if you hand out food, you'll attract hungry people. If you hand out beverages, you'll attract thirsty people. If you have a drop your business card in to win a GoPro, you'll attract contestants. Is that who you want at your booth? Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't use food, beverage, and contests and things like that, but I'm saying you got to be pretty thoughtful about how you use it. Otherwise, you will have the illusion of a successful exhibit. You'll have a lot of traffic. You'll have a lot of business cards in a fishbowl. But what I care about is 90, 180 days after the show. What did you get? What did you get? And I think you care about that too, or you wouldn't be here with me today. So here's the principle that I want to walk you through. It's called selective attraction. Okay, and a great way to really illustrate this is with the funnel on the screen. So, you know, the NAB show has gross attendance. That's everybody that attends. That's exhibitors and speakers and spouses. That's the total audience that's attending. Okay, then when you start backing out like exhibitors and all the other, it's probably somewhere around 80,000 professional attendees. Okay, the number that I'm going to have you focus on in follow-up to this webinar is what we call your profile match. And what I want you to dig for, how many people in the show audience match the profile of the type of person you want at your booth. So in my example, there's 15,000. Okay, and by the way, this is not your number. I'm just using this for illustrative purposes. Now there's another number that you've got to come to grips with, and it's called your exhibit interaction capacity. You see, if there's 15,000 people in the audience, you might only have the capacity for 1,000 interactions. In fact, I'm going to have you run your number in a minute. But what I want you to get here, okay, the big idea from this illustration is that you can't handle the entire audience. So you've got to be very selective about who you want to see at your booth and what you do between now and when you arrive in Las Vegas. Remember that phrase, write it down if you didn't. In the mind, on the agenda, enough of the right people. The problem with many exhibitors is the average exhibitors kind of focus on the top level. They go, oh man, look, there's going to be 100,000 attendees. So all we got to do is show up and set up our booth and we're going to get overrun. No, it doesn't. It just doesn't work that way, right? So the successful exhibitors focus on the bottom two levels. They're calculating their interaction capacity. They're getting crystal clear about their profile matches, and they're finding out how many people in the audience match, and they're trying to get as many of those them. They're trying to utilize 100% of their interaction capacity. Okay, this is a really powerful way to look at it. It makes your job easy too, right? When you run the numbers, I'll come back to this. All right, so another reason why you can't just show up and hope is because attendee behaviors have changed. The average attendee today, they're registering closer to the show. They're spending fewer number of total days at a show. You know, they used to spend, I think the average was 3.4 to 4.5 days at a show. That number is down to 1.8 to 2.9 days. Now, that doesn't mean they don't value shows. In fact, all the research is proving they value shows more than ever. But like you, me, everybody else, they're time pressured. Okay? They're looking for content. They're looking for takeaway, useful information. And they're looking to you, the exhibitor, to provide that. They're pre-planning their agenda. 3 out of 4 are arriving. They already know what sessions they're going to attend, what social events they're going to attend. They know where their blocks of time in the exhibit hall are. The average attendee will stop and cross the carpet line of about 26 to 31 booths. Now, in a big show like NAB show, that number may be higher, but they're not going to stop at every booth. It's not humanly possible, right? Half of their stops are pre-planned. Okay? Now I want you to just think about these 6 points I've made here. And then I want you to notice this next message. 8 out of 10 exhibitors will not execute a good, well-designed pre-show marketing campaign. 8 out of 10 exhibitors will rent space, show up, and hope. Here's a tip. If you want to succeed, find out what unsuccessful exhibitors are doing and don't do it. I can tell you exactly what they're not doing. They're not doing what we're talking about here today. Okay? So you're here. Okay? So the odds of you winning this show are big. And I don't care if you're a small 10 by 10 or if you're in a 50 by 50, right? Doesn't matter. Okay, so I've got another quick poll for you here. Let's flash this one. Which of the following factors do you feel most important in driving traffic to your booth? Which factor? Do you feel it's your location? Do you know where you're physically located, what hall or where you're at within the hall? Do you feel it's how big your booth is, right? Do you feel it's what you do to market pre and at? Do you feel it's how great your products are? If you got great products, people are just going to come running. Do you feel it's the brand identity or reputation of your company in the market? Which factor do you feel is most important when it comes to driving traffic at a trade show? I'll give you just a moment here, and I will share the results. Here we go. So 11% of you feel like it's your location. There's been quantitative and qualitative research done by exhibit surveys since 1963 that has proven that they cannot make a correlation between a physical location in the hall and the ultimate return on investment an exhibit gets. Now, obviously, you know, when you've got multiple halls like this, you know, location can play a role. But here's my message on location. Don't think it's going to be the reason you succeed, and don't let it be the reason you struggle, because you have a choice, right? 66% of you are saying it's the topic we're talking about today. I'm right there with you. I don't care if I'm in a 10 by 10 over in the dark black corner in the hall. I can drive enough of the right people to my booth no matter where I'm located on the show floor. Having a good quality product, rite of passage. Having a good company reputation and brand, yeah, that can help. But remember my message, okay? It's going to be what you do between now and when you arrive to get in the mind on the agenda of the right people. So let's talk about how to do that. It's an 8-step process, and we're going to go through this fast and furiously. Okay, so get ready to write. There are 8 specific steps to putting together your selective attraction plan. Here we go. Number 1, what are you trying to accomplish? What I want you to do here is I want you to identify your top 3 reasons for exhibiting. Is it about visibility and awareness? You got a new product? Is it about positioning or differentiating? Is it about generating leads? Is it about closing deals, business development? Is it about educating the market? Why are you exhibiting? I really want you to identify your top 3, and I want you to put those in order of priority. If I could only do one, what would it be? And then if I could do one more, what would that be? And if I could add just one more, and then I want you to go to the NAB Exhibitor Success and ROI Center. I want you to download the article on planning to win. And for your top 3 reasons, I want you to create a written action plan. Okay? Don't just think it, ink it. Okay? And there's a great model on how to do that. So number 1, begin with the end in mind. Okay. Number 2, create your ideal visitor profile. Remember we said 100,000, 80,000 net, not all those. So when you think about profiling, okay, when you think about profiling, you think about who do you want to interact with at the show, and you think about what types of companies, and then you think about what job functions or titles within those companies use, influence, specify, buy what we sell. And then you think maybe size in terms of annual revenue or number of employees or number of locations. That might have a factor. One of the things the NAB show does is captures the attendees' interest on registration. So here's a way for you to kind of, remember we said you're trying to figure out your profile match, the number of profile matches. Well, look over to the right here, okay? You've got kind of the types of companies that come. Okay, so as you start saying, well, these are the types of companies I'm looking for, now you can start working with the numbers. Okay, and the NAB show has a detailed demographic report. Okay, I would suggest if you haven't captured this and looked at it, you should. It will help you identify who and how much. Okay, now, so in step 2, I want you to spend a little bit of time saying, who are the right people for us? Type of company, job function title, size, however else you define them. And I suggest grabbing the demographic report. All right, here's another thing you can do. Follow me on this because this is a game changer. I want you to have your sales, dealers, distributors work a triangle that we call the CPS triangle: customer, prospect, suspect. The base of the triangle are existing customers. You are now, or you have done business with them recently. I want you to build a list of them, and I want you to invite them to the show. 4 reasons: relationship management, probing for additional opportunity, keeping your ears to the ground for change, and advocacy. Then I want you to go over to prospects that you are currently in the sales pipeline with. You already have a dialogue. Get them to the show and use the show for one big reason: move them to the next step in your sales cycle. Then suspects. A suspect is a profile match, which we just talked about. And you have one objective with this audience: get a foot in the door, put a face with a face. Now, here's how you take this program to action. Talk to your dealer, distributors, your sales manager, your VP of sales, and have everybody who sells for your company to build a list with X number of names. Set a specific outcome. What is the purpose for the meeting at the show with customer, with prospect? Contact them 3 times before you get to the show, ideally using multiple media. The 2 things that you're looking for is either a confirmed appointment. Hey, we're going to meet on Monday at 2:15 p.m. in the booth, or a verbal commitment where they say, yeah, we're coming to the show. Can't set a day and time, but I'm definitely coming to see you. That's what you're looking for. And then if you really want to jumpstart this and get everybody excited and dialed in, put a contest in play to reward the person who gets the most people on their list to the show and to your booth. That's called the CPS. This will not only ensure that you have high value interactions at the show, it'll also motivate your sales and distribution channels because now they know they're going to have high value interactions at the show. CPS plan. Okay, now you got to build lists. So here are your best list sources. Number 1, the pre-registered attendee list. Number 2, the previous or post-show last year's attendee list. The average attendee only goes to 2 shows a year, and they're pretty loyal about which 2 shows they go to. So last year's list is a really good source. Your house lists, customer, prospect, suspects. Other shows you've exhibited at where you've met with people, you've got leads, right? And they're within geographical striking distance, and they have something to do with the broadcast industry. Anybody who's inquired about your product services over the last 90, 180 days, talk to your dealers, your distributors, however you go to market, your channel partners, and have them build and submit lists. Trade publication readership lists, another good source. Okay, so the NAB show makes available to you the pre, post, and previous show lists. It's available for a fee. It's a one-time use. It's a mail only, which we're going to talk about mail in a moment. Okay, I'm telling you this is a smart buy. In the average show, 7% of exhibitors rent the pre-registered attendee list. 93% don't. Remember our rule earlier, if you want to succeed, find out what the average is doing and don't do it. 93% are not getting the list. Get the list. I'm telling you, it's the smartest thing you can do. Why? They've registered. Why? They're coming. Why? That you can drill it down by what? Profile match. Why? Instead of just the email box where all the clutter is, right? You can drop something in the mailbox, which we'll talk about. So here's the thing with the list. You want to use as many list sources as you can. All right, grab your pen, grab a calculator, do this number with me. Okay, I'm not going to let you off the webinar today until you've done this number. Just kidding, I can't keep you on, but I really want you to do this. Remember we said, the selective attraction funnel at the bottom, the red? Exhibit interaction capacity tells you what the target number of people you should get to your booth is. So you take the 27 hours in the NAB show, You multiply it by the number of staff that will be in your booth on average for all 27 hours. In my example, I've got a 10 by 10 booth. I got 2 people. Okay, now I've got my staff hours. What do I want for those 54 staff hours? I want my staff face-to-face, toe-to-toe, talking to people that can make buying decisions for what I sell, right? Next, how many interactions per staffer should I target or expect? 3, conservative. 4, moderate. 5, maybe aggressive. That's interactions per hour per staffer. Pick one of those numbers, okay, and multiply it, and you have got your magic number. In this scenario, for me, in a 10 by 10 with 2 booth staff, if I'm playing it conservative, 162 interactions. If I'm playing it aggressive, 270. Now, here's the big question. Who are the best 162 or 270? And what am I going to do between now and when I get to the NAB show to make sure when they hit that floor, they're looking for me? That's what we're talking about here, okay? Now, you should try to make your list count. Remember on the previous slide, all those different sources? You should try to make your list count 3 to 5 times your exhibit interaction capacity. Not 100% of the people you target are going to show up and make it to your booth. So you want to leave in some space, some wiggle room, right? 3 to 5 times. So in this example with 162, I got my calculator along with you. That would be 486 names on the conservative end. 270 times 5 would be a little over 1,080 names. So you can see, I don't need that much activity to succeed. And I also don't have to worry about whether the show has 100,000 or 50,000 or even 10,000, right? Because you want to know the truth about this formula? That's all you can handle. That's, if you don't like the numbers, change the variable. Can you change the number of hours in the show? No. Can you change the number of staff in your booth? Maybe. You got a 10 by 10 booth, you put 4 staff in that booth, I'm telling you, you're going to have a problem. It's called no space for who? The attendee. So overstaffing, not a good thing. Can you change the number of interactions per hour per staffer? Yeah, with good pre-marketing, with a well-designed exhibit, with a well-trained booth staff. Yeah, you could get up into 7, 8 interactions, 9 interactions per hour. You sure could, but please don't start there. When you start using this philosophy, this formula, I want you to start on the conservative and then build up as you go on, as you get better at the game of exhibiting. This is a critical number right here. Write this down. Trade shows are about face, and trade shows are about next. Get face-to-face with enough of the right people, get a commitment to a next step, you win this game. If you don't get enough and you don't get commitments, you're going to struggle, right? So this is how we do this. This is bringing science, bringing predictability, and this number is amazingly accurate. I've been using it for 24 years. It's amazingly accurate, okay? All right. Final poll of the day. We're going to move into now what do we do, right? We've got goals. We've identified our target audience. We are building customer prospect suspect lists. What are we going to do? Well, we know how much is enough. We've built our list sources. Now, what are we going to do? Well, what percentage of your exhibit budget have you allocated to promoting your participation? Fastest fingers, click the radio dial button that applies. I'll wait for you. All right, we're at about 60%. I want to get this up over 80%. So if you have not polled yet, press the number that applies, and I will share the results so you can see what's happening. I'll give you just another 3 seconds on 3, 2, 1, go. Here we go. So what's happening here? 15% of you said you haven't allocated anything. I want you to go back again and look at how attendee behaviors have changed. I want you to look at that big map that I showed you at the beginning, and I want you to understand that if you don't pre-market, you're in Las Vegas. Then you're rolling the dice. You're rolling the dice. Those of you in the 15+% range, congratulations. Let me show you what the average exhibitor is doing. Here we go. Look on the screen. You are seeing a pie chart. I want you to look at the orange slice in the top left. The average exhibitor is allocating 13% of their total show budget to promoting their exhibit. Remember our rule? Find out what the average is doing and don't do it. Let me go to the next slide. Here's what I'm going to recommend you do. Write down your total show budget in your workbook. I've got a space for you. I want you to multiply it by at least 15%. And I want you to see what you come up with. And I want you to compare that with what you currently have. And I tell you what, there are times when you want to go more than 15%. When you're in a big show, and NAB is a big show, you got a little booth, right? You're looking at that map or that floor plan, and you're going, oh, man, right? The people that attend this show are a dead ringer match for you, what you sell. Allocate more. You might want to get up to 20, 25%, because I can make you a promise and a prediction. And let me go back to the chart. If you get enough of the right people to your booth, you see all these other expense areas, exhibit space, exhibit, transportation, services, travel and entertainment, all that. If you get enough of the right people to your booth, all of those end up as an investment. I can also make a prediction or promise. If you don't get enough of the right people to your booth, all those other areas will end up as an expense. Do you want to make an expensive appearance, or do you want to make a profitable investment? I think you're listening today because you're with me on this. So some of you are saying, Jefferson, but it's not me, it's my boss. Well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go back and show your boss the pie chart. I want you to show him this formula. I want you to show him how attendee behaviors have changed, him or her, for that matter, and say, hey, you know what? If we're going to succeed, we got to do this right? And say, this is why. And hey, if you need to have him or her come watch parts of this webinar, we're going to record it and upload it. I would have them do it, right? Because if you don't get enough of the right people to the booth, you're going to struggle. Now, number 5, okay? It's one thing to market, right? It's say, hey, visit Competitive Edge at booth 2484. Delete. It's another thing to market well, okay? So I want to give you some quick content here on how to actually build messaging and content that works. Job number 1 of anything that you email, post, print, internet, digitally broadcast, it's got to interrupt the audience. They're not sitting around waiting, hoping, and dreaming that you contact them. In fact, they're busy, and they're probably doing things to avoid being contacted. So here's your keys to interrupting at trade shows. NEW is a silver bullet. You got something new, I want it to punch out of your messaging. I want to see it in the subject line of your email. I want to see it in your graphics. I want to see it as a starburst in your ads. NEW, 9 out of 10 attendees. Number 1 reason they hit the exhibit hall, see what's new. Problematic, okay? What problems do your products or services solve? Dangle the problems. Learn. They come to shows to learn. What can you quickly, interactively teach them in the booth? Learn. They notice things that are familiar to them. They notice things that are unusual. So you can use any one or a combination of these strategies to develop content that will make them look. Because first you got to get their attention, then you got to build their interest, right? And the key to attention is relevance. If you're relevant to me, I'll notice you. The key to interest and desire is importance. If you're important to me, I'll engage with you. So you can't just say, you know, the best quality product since 1949. Platitude. No one cares. Okay? What problem do you solve? What's new? What am I going to learn? What am I going to see? What am I going to do? What am I going to get? Here's the major question. Look at bullet 3 here. This is what I want you to, when you get off the webinar, I want you to get your team together and have a brainstorming session around this single question. What situations might be happening in their operation or their business that would prompt them to think about what you offer? Problems, bottlenecks, downtime, inefficiencies, cost overruns. What? I want you to get clear on what situations would prompt them to think, and in your pre-marketing, I want you to dangle situations. Here's what the message sounds like, and write this down because it's not in a visual. Concerned about blank, thinking about blank, worried about blank, dealing with blank, struggling with blank, question mark. Give us 5 minutes at the NAB show. We'll show you how to, what? Cut it, increase it, reduce it, avoid it. You will see, you will do, you will learn, you will get. That's it. That's the content for good, quick read, relevant, important pre-show messaging. Worried about this? Hey, give us 5 minutes out. We'll show you how to save, gain, learn, avoid. Oh, by the way, you'll see something, you'll do something, you'll learn something. Oh, and by the way, we've got something for you cool at the booth. That's it. The job is not to tell your whole story. It's simply to grab my attention, build interest, make me want to come see you, and then get me to come see you. Attention, interest, desire, action. Okay? All right. I'm going to open up the question queue. I'm running a few minutes behind. I want you to pause for a moment. And what's flashed in your mind so far? I'm throwing a lot at you quickly. What are you thinking about? What don't you know? What do you want to go deeper on? Okay, I've got one question. I'm going to go ahead and take this one now and come back in, and I'm going to direct this one, Stacy or Sam. Where do the exhibitors access the attendee list?
There's a tab on our website for pre-show marketing opportunities.
Okay, the tab on the show website for pre-show marketing opportunities. Okay.
Yeah, if you bear with me, I'll look it up because, sorry, I don't have it now.
Okay. Okay, send that to me when you have it, Stacy. Use the chat and send it to me, and I'll forward it to everybody on the webinar.
Okay.
All right. Someone's asking a question. I got the gold package, including leads. Is that the same thing?
No, it's not. So those leads are generated. Sorry, this is Jonathan with NAB. Those leads are generated when an attendee goes into my NAB show and adds you to their scheduler. So they need to create a My NAB Show profile that is linked to their registration, and when they add you to their schedule as an exhibitor that they want to go visit and save you as like a favorite, then you get their information from the My NAB Show portal.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate it. All right, we got more questions. I'm going to jump in with content. By the way, keep the questions coming. You don't have to wait until these breaks to send them. So the minute they flash in your mind, type them. And I want to get through the rest of our content and then come back and get the rest of the questions. But thanks for the questions. Keep them coming. All right, here we go. Now we got to get to where the rubber meets the road. We got to take all this stuff, right? We've set our goals. We've identified our target visitor. We've assembled lists. We've calculated our exhibit interaction capacity, and we've put together some content that'll be relevant and important to our target visitor. Now we got to sift through all this media, and we've got to kind of, what media are we going to use? Well, some of the C's here. Number one, your message is everything. 90% of the effect is going to be the message. The design theme needs to be very consistent, pulled through all the way to the exhibit. People ask me, what media should I use, Jefferson? My answer is always the same. There's no single best media. The magic is in the mix. Use NAB show media, use broadcast industry specific media, and use direct marketing media to your lists. As you do this, remember this, the job is not to tell the whole story. The job is to make them go, oh, I need to go learn about this. So make sure you're hitting what you do, why they should care, who you are, where and how to find us. And number 4, 3 direct hits leading up to showtime, and it seems to work best when these hits come through multiple media. Okay? multiple media. So again, I want you to use as many media as your budget and your time and your ability to use the media effectively allows. Really what you want to do here is you would like to try to have something going in all 5 of these buckets. You know, that chart just kind of puts them all out there, but this is the way I like to think about it. Print and display advertising. So that would be show specific, industry specific, pre and at show media. And then PR. And then electronic media, internet, website, email, social media, mobile app. And don't forget about mail. I tell you what about mail. The clutter in the business mailbox is really, really light. I tell you where the clutter is. You already know. It's in the email box. So not many exhibitors are using mail. Really good time to be using it. And add personal contact to it. Telephone calls, voice broadcast, having your reps, dealer, distributors make visits out in the field. So use as many of those media as you can. Try to get something in all 5 of the buckets, if you will. And then, you know, some of the low-cost, high-impact things, putting short video clips on YouTube and putting the link in email, video email. Voice messaging, not robocalling, voice messaging. With direct mail, oversized postcards that are personalized. Social media, make sure you're posting and leveraging NABs. Personalized URLs, which are pearls, they're called, which have the person or the company's name in the URL. And then setting up event landing pages or microsites that have needs assessment and appointment enablers. So these are other media you want to fold into this campaign and try to use as many as you can. All right, now with that, I'm going to bring Jonathan on from NAB, and Jonathan's going to give you just a quick overview of some of the free stuff that's available and some of the additional stuff. Jonathan, give us a quick overview about some of the stuff NAB has available to help exhibitors.
Sure. So some of the complimentary things that we offer to promote your presence at NAB Show are, of course, your exhibitor listings, which are some of the biggest things that we're offering. So your listing would be on the NAB Show website, as well as in our mobile app. And then you also will be promoted in the NAB Show guide with your booth number. And then we also provide a VIP pass code for you to use in your marketing and promotions to your client list, any publication promotions that you're doing. We always suggest to add that VIP pass code in there because that's offering any client prospect a free registration, exhibits-only registration to NAB Show, so they can come and see you on the exhibit floor and see your product. Then there's also opportunities for you to submit any press releases to our newsroom and our press relations department. And then there's also promotional pieces that we've created where you can use in your own web marketing.
All right, great, thanks. And then so some of the things, there's some things, you know, use all the free stuff, everybody. Jonathan, give us kind of a high level. I know there's a lot up here in advertising and sponsorship, but touch a few of these that you think are really, that they really should be known about and taking a look at.
Right. So the first thing that I suggest to any exhibitor is to do an upgraded directory listing. This upgraded listing gives you additional characters within your profile, puts you as a featured exhibitor within certain searches, and just gets your additional exposure to attendees as they're putting their plan together for the show. And they're that are lower price points, so any exhibitor can afford it. Then there's of course, the mailing list that you would discuss with Experience to put that list together for a personal mailing. And then some of the other advertising opportunities that are very successful is advertising within the NAB Show website. Our highest traffic times are the 2 months leading up to the show as we're announcing new speakers and new events, and attendees are going into going in to put their plan together. Dedicated email promotions. There's email promotions that we offer for exhibitors to purchase either a dedicated email or advertising within NAB Show emails. Obviously, advertising within the NAB Show guide. And then there's also a digital advertising network at the convention center that is pretty cool. There's 14 digital screens that run on a 10-minute loop for the full time of the NAB Show. So that's a good opportunity to touch different attendees in different places at the show. And then sponsorship-wise, obviously there's sponsorships of our premier events, which is our opening keynotes and our 3 different luncheons. A lot of other attendee services like our beer garden, registration, touchscreen directories, lounges, information centers, places that attendees are going to help them make their time at NAB Show a little bit easier. And then there's also the full conference and session schedule that we have for NAB Show, where exhibitors are able to target their promotions to specific audiences. And then our conference items, which is our conference bags, literature bags, show planners, convention notepads, things like that.
All right. Thanks, Jonathan. Here's the best advice I could give everybody listening to this webinar, whether it's live or you're listening to the replay, is view Jonathan and Samantha and the team at NAB as your marketing partner. Clarify your reasons or goals for exhibiting. Clarify who your target audience is within the show. Clarify what sort of budget you have to work with and what you're already doing. And pick up the phone and call Jonathan and Samantha. They don't bite. They're really friendly, super knowledgeable, and they're really here to help you succeed at the show. And and if you have ideas for things, sponsorships, and that maybe we're not even haven't even considered, feel free to bring those to the forefront also. But Jonathan and Samantha will work with you and help you put together a plan that fits your budget, supports your goals, and really helps you get what you want from the show. So make sure you reach out and chat with them. It's kind of like having a free marketing consultant, because, they'll give you their advice and expertise no matter what you need. So make sure you call them. All right. So here we go. All right. So I put on my kind of marketing hat. I said, okay, I'm exhibiting at the show. I'm a small exhibitor. I'm in a 10 by 10. Okay. So it's $4,500 for the space for me. My total show budget is $14,000 to $23,000. I'm going to pull 15% of that from marketing. I have 2 goals: visibility and driving traffic to generate leads. So what would a campaign look like for me? Well, I'd run the CPS strategy I talked about. I would print and mail a custom postcard both to my CPS list and the NAB Show pre-reg list. I would be sure to email my list and make sure I'm giving them a compelling reason and use the free exhibit-only registration, the VIP passes. I would make sure that I'm promoting my participation in my social media channels, and I'm using NAB Show's social media channels. I would place a show banner, and I would make sure that I have booth promo copy on my website, my email signatures, and all of my outgoing correspondence. And I would upgrade absolutely to the Silver My NAB Show package that Jonathan had mentioned, that has the logo, the images, 1,000 characters, lets me show up in 10 categories, and then gives me access to the leads. And all of that would be doable in that budget range. All of those would support your goals, and that would be a pretty well integrated campaign. Now, I'm a larger exhibitor. I'm in a 20 by 20, right? So I'm going to invest 54 on the low end up to 90,000 in the show. I'm going to pull 20% of that for marketing. But I've got a new product to introduce, and I really want top brand visibility all around the venue as 2 additional goals. So I'm going to do the basic things as the small exhibitor did, but I'm going to access the press list and send press releases. I'm going to bring kits to the show. If it's really newsworthy, I'm going to look at a press conference, and I'm going to upgrade my show directory because I can post my press releases there. I'm going to utilize NAB's dedicated promotional email because they'll be able to send targeted emails on, to the people, the demographics I want. I'm going to get a banner ad on the show site, especially these 2 months before showtime when traffic's peaking. I'm going to run a full-page ad in the NAB show guide because the print directory, pound for pound, dollar for dollar, is absolutely one of your best print buys. Readership, it's got 1 year shelf life. They not only use it during the show, but they go back to it afterwards. Because I want max visibility, I'm going to have an 8-second spot on the digital signage network, the 14 displays around the convention center. And then, again, I'm supporting my visibility goal. I'm going to sponsor conference bags or lanyards. And finally, I'm going to sponsor a session that kind of speaks to a topic that ties in some way to what my new product is. And that would be an example of a well-designed integrated campaign for a medium/large exhibitor. What I'm also going to do here is the gold package, because it's going to give me the ability to put on top of all the other stuff is 4 video panels and an online booth that's highlighted with a corner peel. And I'm going to get priority placement in the top of all searches. So this is an example. This is what a campaign would look like. My print component, I'm going to do mail. I'm going to make sure my email is carried. Notice how I'm carrying my branding all the way through. And then I'm going to have a microsite set up that has a needs assessment, gives the person the ability to set an appointment through my site, and then prints out. Bring this to the show as a reminder of the appointment, and I've got a reward waiting for them at the booth. All right, step 8, and we'll go to questions, and we'll wind this down. We don't do all this just to say we did it. We do it because we're trying to build our brand awareness, and we're trying to drive qualified booth traffic. We also do it because we want to build a replicable process that we can rinse and reuse for future shows. So we got to measure, okay? What am I going to measure? What media did I use? When was the media deployed relative to the show? How many were emailed, sent, broadcast, whatever, printed, opens, click-throughs, all of that. I'm going to detail my cost for each media that I used. I'm going to try to track my number of impressions and response rate. I'm going to make sure I have my booth staff ask, hey, how'd you hear about our booth? To everybody that walks into our booth. I'm going to track that. And then I'm going to stand back after the show and look at all this. And I'm going to go, hey, what worked here? And then I'm going to go, what did I learn here? Timing, message, response rate, content, giveaways, rewards, headlines, subject lines, all of this. And then I'm going to say, how do I take that and turn it into a process that I can use for my next show so I don't have to completely recreate the wheel? Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. I'm going to go into question queue. And while I do, I'm going to toss it back to Stacy, Samantha, and Jonathan for any thoughts or any closing comments on the NAB show's team part. Stacy?
Yeah, thank you, Jefferson. That was great. I hope everybody that joined us today goes away with at least one helpful tip for a successful show. We're looking forward to seeing everybody in April. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jefferson.
Yeah, thank you guys. Jonathan, any kind of closing thoughts? And I may have some questions for you guys, so hang on. There's several in the queue here. But any closing thoughts, Jonathan?
No, just thanks again for everyone coming. If anyone has any questions or want to discuss the marketing plan for NAB show and what additional paid opportunities for advertising or sponsorship are available, I'm more than happy to set up a call to talk through that.
All right, thank you. Let me hit some of the questions here. One of them is, we have to pay to use the mailing list every time. Yes, yes, it's for one-time usage, and it is a mail-only list, and it does require the use of a mail house, but still very smart money to do. Someone was asking, I want to learn more about ROI. My first suggestion is you go to the NAB show Exhibitor Success and ROI Center. Let me try to bring that up while we're doing this. We've got content there that you can download and use. Any suggestions for motivating account managers to get qualified leads, not just scanning badges? Yeah. Number one is calculate the total spend on the show. Break it down to cost per staffer per hour. Communicate your cost per staffer for example, you tell an account manager that, hey, we're spending $880 for every hour to be in the booth. What we need from you is qualified leads. By qualified, we mean information rich with a committed next step. So you got to communicate that up front, and then provide trade show skills training on how to engage, how to qualify, how to present, and how to get a commitment. Yeah, someone's saying, can you go over specific pre-marketing ideas? We're kind of out of time. I've given you the process and kind of what works here. So follow the 8-step process. There's a ton of ideas built into the process. Let me see. Where, Jonathan or Sam, this would come your way. Where can we get deadlines for press submissions?
I don't believe that there's specific deadlines. Obviously, with an upgrade listing, you can upload those press releases to your listing. And yes, and then we link from the news section on the NAB Show website under exhibitor releases to a list of all those press releases that are uploaded within your listing. So there's not a deadline.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. This is a comment from an exhibitor on the webinar. He's saying that the silver package has really worked well for us as a 10 by 20 booth in the lower south 14,000 neighborhood area. He said it's already working 4 months ahead of showtime. And that's straight from an exhibitor. Awesome. Yeah, that's straight from an exhibitor. So the silver package. Let me see. I got one more question. Are you able to use your budget in all those marketing actions when the 18,000 is not the only expense? Remember, the budgeting rule of thumb is floor space times 3 to 5. So if the floor space cost was 18,000, you're multiplying that by 5. Ideally, in a big show like this, in a city like Vegas, I would go 5. So you take 18,000 times 5, and I would try to pull at least 18,000 of that out for marketing my exhibit. Okay, and that's all I've got for questions. I want to thank everybody again for the time that you've kind of spent with us today. Hopefully you've got you're motivated, you're focused, you've got a very clear track to run on. Follow this 8-step process. Use what you learned. Feel free to submit questions to the NAB staff and also me. My information's in your workbooks and everything. And if you will, do what we talked about in this webinar. I can close not by wishing you a successful NAB show, guarantee it, you will have a successful show. So go get them, have fun, and we will see you in Las Vegas. Thanks for logging in, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.